All right, so you've booked that trip, to an English-speaking country.
Yeah.
And you're a little worried about the language barrier.
Of course.
Well, we are diving deep today into essential English phrases for travel to help make your experience so much smoother, more enjoyable. All those little situations that you might find yourself in where you're not sure how to say something or you're worried about,
Yeah, for sure.
misunderstandings.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about all of that today.
Right.
We'll cover airports, hotels, restaurants, shopping, even emergency situations.
Very important.
So this will be really valuable to you.
Yes.
And we're going to give you not just, phrases, but really like
Exactly.
examples of how to use them, tips.
And how to feel comfortable using them.
Exactly.
Because that's really the key.
Yes.
Having those phrases at your fingertips can make all the difference. It's not about being fluent.
Yeah.
It's about feeling confident enough to communicate.
Exactly.
To ask for what you need to, get the information you need and really enjoy that travel experience.
Yes. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Okay. You've just landed.
Right.
You're at the airport.
Yeah.
It's busy. Maybe you're a little jet lagged.
Yeah.
A little overwhelmed.
It happens.
And you need to find the check-in counter.
Okay.
So instead of wandering around,
Right.
looking lost,
Looking confused.
you can just confidently walk up and say,
Yes.
I'd like to check in for my flight to, and then your destination.
Exactly. Having that phrase ready,
Yes.
along with your boarding pass and ID,
Of course.
can really just make things so much smoother. And while you're there, if you're hoping for a specific seat, like a window seat or an aisle seat, don't hesitate to ask.
Right.
Is it possible to get a window or aisle seat?
It's like magic.
Yeah, it can work wonders.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Now, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
You know,
Of course not.
airlines sometimes have their own policies.
Right, they do.
But it's always worth asking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about baggage fees.
Oh, yes.
Because I've had that experience where I get to the counter
Right.
and I'm hit with all these fees that I didn't know about.
It's the worst.
And it's so frustrating.
Yes.
So to avoid that,
Mm-hmm.
you can proactively ask
Exactly.
before you even get to the counter, what is your policy on checked baggage?
Yes, it's so important because those baggage fees, they can really sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm.
They vary so much between airlines and countries,
Yeah.
so it's best to be prepared
Right.
to know what to expect
Exactly.
before you even approach the counter.
Okay, so we've checked in.
Yes,
We've dealt with our baggage.
we're good.
Now we are at security.
All right.
The security line can be a little bit,
Okay, it can be stressful.
stressful, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to remember, liquids, electronics, shoes, belts.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
It is.
So
Yeah,
instead of trying to remember all the rules,
Yeah.
you can just ask,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
do I need to remove my shoes?
Perfect.
Do I need to remove my belt?
Yes, just ask.
Simple questions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much better
Yes.
than,
Then guessing
guessing. Yeah.
and potentially getting it wrong.
Or like holding up the line.
Exactly.
Because you're not sure.
Nobody wants to be that person.
Exactly.
So just ask and they'll let you know.
And don't forget to say thank you.
Oh, yes. Always be polite.
Yes.
Little courtesy goes a long way.
It really does.
Especially in a potentially tense situation like airport security.
Yeah. Even if you're feeling stressed, just be polite.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've made it through security.
We're doing well.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Now you need to find your gate.
Right.
And let's say, you're in one of those massive airports
Oh, yeah.
where the gates are like miles apart.
It happens.
You have no idea where you're going.
Right.
Well, the first thing you want to do is check the airport monitors.
Absolutely. They're usually pretty strategically placed throughout the terminal.
Yeah.
So you can get a general sense of where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, before you even approach airport staff for help,
Yeah.
glance at those screens.
Right.
Get an idea of your gate's general direction.
Okay.
That way you can ask a more specific question.
Yeah, because, those airport staff, they're busy.
They have so many passengers to help.
So if you can be, have a little bit of information before you even approach them,
Right.
it makes it so much easier for everyone.
It makes their job easier, and it makes your experience smoother.
So let's say you've checked the monitors.
Yeah.
You still can't find your gate.
You need a little extra help.
Now what?
Now you ask, excuse me, could you tell me how to get to gate and then your gate number?
So you've got that gate number handy.
Exactly.
And again, just being polite.
Yes. always be polite.
Using that, excuse me.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
And be specific instead of just saying, where's my gate?
Yeah.
Give them that gate number.
That's helpful.
It helps them to help you.
Yeah. And there are often maps too.
Oh, yeah. Those airport maps can be lifesavers. Yeah. Sometimes they're a little confusing.
They can be.
But if you can get your hands on one, it can really help you to visualize where you need to go.
Okay. And one last tip for navigating the airport.
Right.
Many airports now have their own apps.
Yes, they do.
Download that app.
It's like having a personal airport guide in your pocket.
Yeah.
You can get maps, real-time flight updates. Yeah. You can even find restaurants and shops within the airport.
Amazing.
Super helpful.
Okay, you found your gate.
We're doing great.
You are doing great. But now you're hungry.
Of course.
You need a pre-flight snack or maybe a coffee.
All right, so we're heading to the food court.
Right.
Or one of those little airport cafes.
Yeah. And those can be a little intimidating.
They can be, especially if you're not sure how to order.
Yeah.
Or if the menus are in English.
Right.
And you're not quite sure what everything is.
Yeah, so let's say you want to get a coffee.
Okay, classic airport coffee.
Right.
So instead of just saying coffee, please.
Yeah, which could be anything.
Right, it could be anything. Yeah. Try being a little more specific.
Right.
Could I please get a large latte? Or can I have a cappuccino with an extra shot of espresso?
Ooh, I like that.
Be specific about what you want.
Yeah.
And it'll make the whole process much smoother.
And then, of course, you've got to have a pastry to go with that coffee.
Oh, of course, those airport pastries, they can be so tempting.
Yeah.
So, if you're eyeing a particular treat, don't be afraid to just point and say, could I also get that croissant, please?
Perfect.
Sometimes nonverbal communication is just as effective.
Right.
Especially in those situations where you're not quite sure how to say the word.
Okay, so we fueled up.
We're fueled up.
We've got our coffee. We've got our pastry.
We're ready to go.
We are ready for our flight.
Yes.
All right, so we've successfully navigated the airport.
We have.
Using a few key phrases.
Just a few key phrases.
But that's just the beginning.
Yes.
From here, we'll explore how to master those essential phrases.
Exactly.
For transportation, hotels, restaurants.
We got a lot to cover.
And more.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've conquered the airport.
Yes, we have.
Now it's time to tackle transportation.
All right.
So you've landed in a new city.
Yeah.
You're eager to explore. But first, you need to figure out how to get from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
And whether you're taking a taxi.
Yeah.
Or navigating the public transport system.
Right.
Or maybe trying out a ride-sharing service.
Yeah.
Having the right phrases can really make all the difference.
It really can. Transportation is often where communication can be the trickiest, especially in a foreign country.
Right.
But a little preparation goes a long way.
Okay, so let's start with taxis.
All right.
You've just grabbed your luggage.
Okay.
You've stepped outside the arrivals terminal.
Yeah.
And there's a line of taxis waiting.
All right.
What do you do?
So before you even approach a taxi,
right,
have your destination clearly in mind.
Right.
And if possible, written down or saved on your phone.
Okay, good tip.
This will just avoid any confusion or mispronunciations.
Right, especially if you're dealing with street names or landmarks that you're not familiar with.
You can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
So have it written down.
Okay, so you've got your destination.
Yeah.
You approach the taxi driver.
Okay.
What do you say?
A simple, can you take me and then your destination, please? Works every time.
Easy.
And here's a crucial tip.
Okay.
Especially if you're unfamiliar with the city.
Yeah.
Always confirm the approximate cost before getting in.
Yes.
Because you don't want any surprises.
Oh, I've had those surprises.
Yeah, they're not fun.
Not fun at all.
So just to avoid that, you can simply ask, how much will it cost to get to? And then your destination.
Okay.
That way you know what you're getting into.
You can always, maybe negotiate a little bit or decide if you want to take a different form of transportation.
Right, or find a different taxi.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
All right, taxi situation handled.
We did it.
But now let's say you want to try the local bus or train system.
Okay.
You're feeling adventurous.
All right.
You want to experience the city like a local.
I love it.
But it can be a little daunting.
It can be.
Especially if you don't know the routes or the schedules.
Right.
So what do you do?
Well, a little pre-trip research goes a long way.
Oh, always.
Yes. So many cities now have excellent websites or apps for their public transportation systems.
So helpful.
So familiarizing yourself with the routes, the schedules, the fare options beforehand can really save you a lot of time and potential headaches.
Okay, so you've done your research.
Right.
You have a general idea of the bus or train line you need.
Yeah.
You're standing at the bus stop or the train station.
Okay.
Now what?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Public transportation staff are usually very helpful, especially with tourists.
They're used to it.
They are.
Yeah.
So if you're unsure if you're on the right platform,
right,
or if a particular bus goes to your destination,
okay,
just ask, does this bus or train go to? And then your destination.
Simple.
Easy.
Okay, and what about ticket machines?
Oh, yeah.
Those can be intimidating.
They can be, especially if they're in a language you don't understand.
Right, and there are so many buttons and options.
So many options.
Sometimes, yeah.
But most of them have language options.
Oh, okay.
So look for a button or an icon that indicates language settings.
Okay.
And switch it to English if available.
Right.
If you're still struggling, don't hesitate to approach a staff member and say, could you help me buy a ticket to... and then your destination.
Perfect.
They'll be happy to help.
Okay, now what about transfers?
Oh, transfers.
Because those can be really confusing.
They can be.
You know, you're on one line, you have to switch to another.
Right.
You're not sure where to go.
Yeah, that's where having a map or a transportation app can be really helpful. But even with those tools, it's always a good idea to double check with staff.
Okay.
So you can say, do I need to transfer to get to and then your destination?
All right, so you've successfully navigated
We did it.
public transportation.
Yes.
You're feeling like a local.
Blending in.
You've arrived at your hotel.
Right.
Bags in tow.
Yeah.
Ready to check in.
Time to relax.
Freshen up.
Yeah.
And, you know, most hotels have staff who speak English.
They do.
But it's still helpful to have a few key phrases ready.
It can make things so much smoother, more efficient.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, when you're tired from traveling.
Right.
You just want to get to your room.
Okay, so you're at the reception desk.
Right.
What's your opening line?
I have a reservation under the name and then your name.
Classic. It works like a charm.
And of course, have your confirmation handy.
Yes, either printed or on your phone.
Yes.
Just in case there are any discrepancies.
All right, now what about special requests?
Okay.
Like if you want a room with a view.
Yes.
Or extra towels.
Absolutely.
Is it okay to ask for those things?
Of course, hotels are all about hospitality. They want to make their guests feel comfortable.
Right.
So don't hesitate to politely make your requests.
You could say, if possible, could I have a room with a view?
Okay.
Or would it be possible to get some extra towels?
I love those phrases.
Yeah. If
possible.
So polite.
Would it be possible?
It just shows respect.
Yes.
You know, and it goes a long way.
It really does.
In any cross-cultural interaction.
All right. So you've checked in.
We're in.
You're settled in your room.
Yeah.
Now it's time to explore the city's culinary scene.
Right.
Food is such a big part of the travel experience.
It is.
You know, it's a chance to savor new flavors, immerse yourself in the local culture.
Absolutely.
But ordering food in another language can be a little intimidating.
It can be.
So let's break it down.
All right, let's do it.
You found a charming little restaurant.
Okay.
You're seated at a table. The waiter approaches with the menu.
All right.
And you're ready to order.
Yeah.
But the menu's in English.
Okay.
And some of the dishes sound...
You have no idea what they are.
A little unfamiliar.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Don't panic.
Okay.
Waiters are there to help you navigate the menu. So if you're unsure about a particular dish, just ask, could you please tell me more about this dish?
Okay.
They'll be happy to explain it to you.
And what about dietary restrictions?
Oh, yes.
Because, you know...
Very important.
A lot of people have dietary restrictions these days.
Whether it's vegetarian, vegan.
Allergies.
Allergies, exactly.
So how do you communicate that?
It's crucial to communicate those needs up front.
Right.
So you can use phrases like, I'm vegetarian. Do you have any vegetarian options?
Okay.
Or, I have a nut allergy. Could you please tell me which dishes are nut-free?
So important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
For your safety and for your enjoyment of the meal.
Okay. And sometimes, you know, you might want to clarify something on the menu.
Right.
Like maybe a dish sounds incredibly spicy.
Yeah.
And you're not sure if you can handle the heat.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. You can say something like, is this dish very spicy?
Okay.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yes. Especially when it comes to spicy food.
Especially spicy food.
All right. So you've ordered your meal.
We did it.
You've enjoyed a delicious culinary adventure.
Yes.
You're feeling very satisfied.
Full and happy.
And now it's time to pay the bill.
Okay.
So what's the most polite way to request the check?
When you're ready to pay, you can simply catch the waiter's eye and say, "Could I have the bill, please?"
Okay.
Yeah, easy.
And before you pull out your credit card or your cash,
Yes.
it's always a good idea to ask,
What's that?
do you take credit cards?
Oh, yes, because you don't want to assume.
No.
And then be caught in a situation where they only take cash.
Right.
It's always best to check.
Yes, and also tipping customs
Oh, yes.
can vary widely.
Around the world.
Yeah.
So if you're unsure about the tipping etiquette in the country you're visiting,
Right.
a discreet "is service included" can clarify things for you.
All right, so we have navigated transportation.
We have.
We've checked into our hotel.
Yeah.
And we have enjoyed a delicious meal.
We're doing great.
We are doing great.
Yes.
Feeling like a travel pro yet?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But hold on tight.
Okay.
Because next we're diving into the exciting world of shopping.
Right.
From bustling markets to charming boutiques.
Let's go.
Okay, so we've tackled transportation, we've checked into our hotel, and we've even navigated a restaurant menu.
We're on a roll.
We are now get ready for some retail therapy.
All right.
Whether you're browsing those bustling markets for unique souvenirs or strolling through, those chic boutiques for the latest fashions shopping in a new country.
Right.
It'd be such a fun experience.
It is. It's a great way to engage with local culture and bring home a piece of your travels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it can also be a little daunting if you're not sure how to communicate your needs.
Exactly.
Or ask about prices.
Yeah. Especially in a foreign language.
Right. So let's start with those.
Okay.
Vibrant, chaotic, utterly charming markets.
I love a good market.
I love exploring markets when I travel.
Me too.
They're just a sensory overload in the best possible way.
It's so true.
You've got those colorful textiles, exotic spices, handcrafted jewelry. It's amazing.
Yeah, markets are treasure troves of unique finds.
They are, but they can also be a little overwhelming.
They can be.
Especially if you're not sure how to navigate the bargaining process or ask about prices.
Yeah, because sometimes there are no price tags.
Right.
And you're kind of left wondering, how much is this?
Okay, imagine you're weaving through that crowded market. You spot the perfect souvenir.
Okay.
Maybe it's a beautiful scarf or a hand-painted ceramic bowl.
I love those.
You pick it up, you admire it, and then you realize
there's no price tag.
There's no price tag.
What do you do?
What do you do?
This is where those essential English phrases come in handy.
Yeah.
Instead of fumbling for words or resorting to, awkward gestures.
Right.
Just politely ask, "How much is this?"
Simple.
Easy.
And what about if you're looking for something specific?
Okay.
But you're not seeing it on display.
Right.
Like you're looking for a particular size.
Yeah.
Or a color.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Okay.
Shopkeepers are usually happy to help you find what you're looking for. Yeah. So you can try phrases like, "Do you have this in a smaller or larger size?" Or "Do you have this in a different color?"
Okay.
They might have it in the back, or, they might be able to order it for you.
And what about trying things on?
Oh, yes. Trying things on is crucial.
Because
especially for clothing and shoes.
Made that mistake.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Where I buy something and then get home and it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all.
Yes.
So always try things on.
Yes.
Just to make sure the fit is right before you make that purchase.
So you can just ask, can I try this on?
Perfect.
Okay.
Easy.
So we've mastered market shopping.
We have.
Now let's move on to those more upscale boutiques or department stores.
Right.
The vibe is definitely different.
It is a little more refined.
Right.
Yeah.
But those essential phrases, they're still your secret weapon.
Absolutely.
To a successful shopping experience.
In boutiques or department stores, you'll often encounter sales assistants who are eager to help you find what you're looking for.
Yes.
So don't hesitate to engage them in conversation.
Okay.
Ask for assistance.
What are some good phrases?
If you're looking for something specific, you can try phrases like, "I'm looking for a new dress for a special occasion."
Yeah.
Or, "Could you help me find a gift for my friend?"
Perfect.
Just give them an idea of what you're looking for.
And then if you need a different size, or you want to see if something comes in a different color,
you can ask, "Do you have this in a size?" and then your size.
Or, "Does this come in any other colors?"
Okay.
It's easy.
Shopping bags are full.
Yes.
It's time to shift gears from retail therapy to exploring the city.
Okay.
Those iconic landmarks, hidden gems, cultural hotspots.
Sightseeing. It's the best.
And this is where those phrases for asking directions, clarifying information, navigating transportation,
absolutely,
really come in handy.
Because you're out and about. Yeah. You're exploring. You're likely to need those phrases.
Okay, so picture this. You're standing on a bustling street corner.
All right.
You've got a map that seems to have a mind of its own.
I've been there.
And you're trying to find your way to that must-see museum.
Right.
Don't panic.
No.
Locals are often more than happy.
They are.
To point you in the right direction.
They love to help tourists.
So how do you approach someone for directions?
A polite... Excuse me.
Okay.
Could you tell me how to get to, and then the landmark or attraction? Perfect. And then what if...
Yeah.
You're not sure you understood the directions correctly.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification.
Right.
You could say, could you repeat that, please?
Nope.
Or, I'm not sure I understood. Could you please show me on the map?
Okay, so you're not afraid to ask for help.
No, ask away.
Yeah.
People are generally happy to help.
And what about if you're trying to figure out the best way to get somewhere?
Okay.
Like, should you take the bus, the train, a taxi?
You can ask, what's the best way to get to, and then the landmark or attraction?
Okay.
Or is it better to take the bus or the train?
All right, so you've successfully navigated your way.
We did it.
To that must-see museum.
Yeah.
You've admired the exhibits.
Yes.
You've soaked up the history and culture. And now disaster strikes.
Oh, no.
You've lost your wallet.
It's a traveler's worst nightmare.
It is.
But don't worry.
Okay.
Even in stressful situations like this, knowing the right English phrases can help you get the assistance you need.
Okay, so panic is setting in.
Take a deep breath.
Okay, deep breaths.
Stay calm.
Okay.
And then if you're in a public place, approach a staff member or someone who looks like they might be able to help.
Right.
And you can say, excuse me, I've lost my wallet. Could you please help me? And be prepared to provide details about where you think you might have lost it.
Right.
What it looks like.
And then, of course, you need to contact your bank or your credit card company.
Absolutely.
To report the loss.
As soon as possible.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From navigating airports and transportation.
Yeah.
To ordering food, shopping, sightseeing.
We did it all.
Even handling emergencies.
We're prepared for anything.
We are feeling empowered.
I feel empowered.
Me too.
Yeah.
But remember, language learning is an ongoing journey.
It is.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
Ask for help. Embrace the learning process.
Every interaction is a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
So as you embark on your next adventure, remember that language is not just a tool for communication.
Right.
It's a key.
It unlocks so many doors.
That unlocks a world of possibilities.
Exactly.
Well said. So, dear listeners, pack your bags, grab your passports, and don't forget those essential English phrases.
They'll be your best friend.
They will be your trusted companions on your journey.
Absolutely.
Helping you navigate the world with confidence and create memories.
Yes.
That will last a lifetime.
Beautiful.
Until next time, happy travel.
Happy travels. All right, let's dive into some verbs. If you're ready to really boost your everyday English, this beginner lesson plan is pretty amazing. 21 verbs, that's all it takes.
21 essential verbs, yeah.
And before you think, oh no, grammar, it's not like that, we're going to find out what's so interesting about these words we use every day.
Yeah, and the thing is, you probably use them all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Without even realizing it, they're kind of in everything.
It's true. I mean, we don't think about them too much. It's just like, there they are.
This lesson plan, though, it's broken down into 3 parts. Warm up, then all about the verbs themselves, and then practice. I think this is going to make us look at verbs in a totally different way.
Definitely, yeah. Even the warm-up it's pretty clever. It gets you thinking about all the things you do in a day, like all the actions. And then you realize how many verbs are really just part of everything. It also kind of hints at how verbs aren't always actions, you know?
Oh, interesting.
They can be about, like, states of being, too. Okay, well, let's look at some of the verbs. We don't have to go through all 21 right now.
Yeah,
but I'm curious, what makes these, like, so-called basic verbs so special?
So they picked these 21 because, well, they're kind of the basis of communication. I mean, you can say so much with them, right? They cover, like, actions and how you feel, what you want, things that come up all the time. Let's take have, for example.
Okay.
You probably think of it as, like, owning stuff. But there's more to it than that.
Right. Like, have lunch.
Exactly.
Or, like, have a good time. So it's about experiences, too.
Yes.
Huh. never really thought about that before.
And those little differences are what can make English hard to learn sometimes.
Yeah.
Another good one is look versus see.
Okay.
They make a point in the lesson about look, meaning you're trying to see something, and see, meaning you just, notice it with your eyes.
I like that. There is a difference. I noticed the lesson mentions some interesting things about culture too, with verbs like and love.
Oh yeah, for sure. Language isn't just about the words, right?
Right.
It's all tied up with culture and, how people express themselves.
Yeah.
Even what kinds of verbs they use a lot can be different.
So there's a lot more to these simple verbs than you might think.
Definitely.
What about to be? That seems simple. But then there's am and is and are and was and were.
Right. To be is a tricky one because of how it changes. It's so basic you have to use it to say anything about yourself or the world, but then it changes form all the time. We call that conjugation, by the way.
Okay.
How the verb changes depending on who's doing it or when it happened.
That makes sense. Even though they call these verbs basic, they're not afraid to get into the grammar, which is, probably helpful if you're new to English. So we've talked about a few examples, but I bet you're thinking, how do I actually use these verbs?
That's where the practice part comes in. And it's designed to be really fun.
Yeah.
You're not just going to be doing boring exercises.
Yeah, I was looking at the activities. They look really creative. I saw one where you pretend you're at a store and you have to use the verbs to talk to people.
Right. That's called role-playing, and it's a really good way to practice because you're in a situation.
Right.
And it feels real, but it's safe to try things out. You can use different verbs, try new phrases, and it really helps you get confident. Much better than just repeating words from a list, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I like how they stress that you should use these verbs in your real life too. Write a journal entry, text a friend, anything to get using them.
Right, that's the idea.
Because the more you use them, the more natural it'll feel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like working out a muscle, but for your language.
I like that. So we've talked about have, look, see, love, and to be. I'm ready to dig into some more.
Yeah.
What about give? I mean, it seems pretty simple, but is there more to it?
Give is a good one because it doesn't always mean actually handing something to someone.
Yeah, that's true.
What do I give someone advice?
Right.
Or give someone a chance?
You're right. It's not like a thing you can hold. It's more like knowledge or an opportunity.
Exactly. And that's what makes language so cool.
Yeah.
It can have all these layers of meaning. Like with give, you could be offering help or even forgiving someone.
It's amazing how these really simple words can mean so many things.
It is.
What about the opposite then? Take.
Oh.
That's not always about physically taking something either, is it?
Nope.
Take a break. Take a risk. You could even take someone's word for it.
Exactly. Take is another one that goes way beyond the basic meaning. It can be about accepting something or getting something. And yeah, like you said, you add a preposition and it becomes a whole new phrase.
Oh, that's right. So you can take one word and combine it with others to make a totally different meaning.
Yeah, exactly. It's like each verb is like a little building block. You can make so many different things.
And that's what I love about language. How you can take simple things and put them together to make something really complex.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got have, give, take. Now, what about verbs that are more about how we think and feel? Like think and feel.
Those are big ones.
Right.
For sure.
Because they're how we talk about what's going on inside. Right?
Yeah. With think, you share your ideas, your opinions, that kind of thing. And feel lets you talk about your emotions, how things make you feel.
I've been noticing how much we use those verbs just in everyday conversation. Like, what do you think about this? Or I feel really happy today.
Right.
They're simple words, but they're how we connect with each other.
It's not just about giving information. It's how we share our experiences with each other, which is, what makes us human, really.
It is. Okay, let's try another group of verbs. How about say, ask, and tell? They all seem to have to do with talking, but what are the differences?
All right, well, those are important for understanding how we talk to each other. Say is just about making sounds,
Expressing something. Ask means you want to know something or you're requesting something. And tell is like giving information or instructions.
Wow, so even a small difference like that can change a conversation completely.
Yeah.
It's amazing how 3 simple verbs are behind so much of how we talk to each other every day. We say hello, we ask questions, we tell stories. They're like the foundation of conversation, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. They're how we share ideas, argue, entertain each other.
Right.
Without them, you couldn't really communicate that well.
That's true. All right, let's do two more. What about try and use? They seem pretty straightforward, but I wonder if you see anything interesting in them.
Well, try is about effort, and possibility. It means you're making an attempt, but you might not succeed. While use means you're using something for a purpose, a tool or a skill or even like language itself.
So try is like dipping your toe in, and use is like jumping right in.
That's a great way to think about it. Like with use, you've already decided to do something, right?
Exactly.
That's a really good point. It shows how even those small differences in meaning can make a big difference in what you're trying to say.
For sure.
Okay, so we've gone through quite a few of these 21 essential verbs. What do you think someone listening who wants to get better at English should take away from this?
I think the most important thing is that even these basic verbs can do so much.
Yeah.
They're how we communicate, so when you really get them,
you
can say so much more and so much better.
They're like, I don't know, the letters of the alphabet for talking. Once you know those, you can make all kinds of sentences.
That's it. It's not about memorizing a list. It's about knowing how they work in different situations with other words.
Yeah.
And how they can mean different things.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. I never thought about these simple words so much before. And I like how this lesson makes learning fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just rules and exercises. It's like exploring, figuring things out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Language changes all the time, which is what makes it interesting, right?
Right.
So this lesson is about getting involved in learning, try things out, play with the verbs, see what happens.
Speaking of trying things out, I'm still thinking about that store role play.
Yeah.
What a cool way to practice. It's fun. And you actually have to use the verbs.
It puts you right in there, like you're really having a conversation.
Right.
Instead of just repeating words.
I bet that would make them stick in your head too. It's like learning while you shop for, I don't know, shoes or something.
Exactly. And they have other ideas for practicing too, like writing about your day or using them in texts. The main thing is to use them, make them part of how you talk.
So it's not enough to just learn them on their own.
Right.
You got to put them into practice in real life.
That's how they become automatic. It's like you don't even have to think about them.
Okay, so to wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you'd want our listener to remember?
I'd say even the simplest words have power, and they can be more complicated than you think.
Yeah.
These 21 verbs are just the start, but once you understand them, you're on your way to speaking English really well.
And for all you language lovers out there, here's something to think about. How do those simple verbs change, depending on where you are or who you're talking to? That's something to keep in mind as you learn more and more words. Keep diving deep.
Okay, picture this. You've just gotten off the plane in London. You're jet-lagged, but that smell of coffee is calling your name.
Oh, yeah.
You wander into this cute little cafe, but you want to order a local, not just another tourist, with a phrase book.
Right.
So that's where this deep dive comes in.
Yeah.
We've got all these articles and tips about mastering coffee shop interactions in English.
It really is amazing how these small little chats can really open up a whole new world when you're learning a language.
Absolutely.
It's not even just about the coffee, it's about connecting with the culture and feeling more confident.
So let's get into it. We have articles on vocab regional slang, even a study on the psychology of ordering. Where do we even begin?
Well, we got to start with a strong foundation, right?
Yeah.
And, we tend to forget that even basic vocabulary can tell us a lot about a culture.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like take the flat white, for example.
I've seen that on menus. But I'm always a little afraid to ask what it is.
Yeah, so basically it's a double shot of espresso with just a tiny bit of steamed milk on top. Okay.
It's super popular in Australia and New Zealand. And, that tells us a lot about their coffee culture, right? They're all about that strong espresso flavor, and there's this huge emphasis on the texture of that microphone.
So it's not just about knowing the words, it's about understanding where they come from.
Right.
That makes sense.
The difference between asking for a large coffee and realizing that at Starbucks, you got to order a venti.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've definitely been in situations where I've used the wrong word for sizes and I felt so awkward.
Right. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
But being aware of those little differences can help you blend in a little more.
For sure.
And while we're talking about variations, let's get into the world of modifiers.
Oh, man. Those can be tricky. I remember once I tried to order a decaf soy latte in New York.
Oh.
It was so busy and loud, and I ended up with something totally different.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a mess. That's why knowing how to use those modifiers confidently is so important. It's not even just about getting your order right. It's about feeling good expressing what you want. Imagine you're in a London coffee shop, it's freezing outside, and you're craving a soy latte extra hot. How would you order that?
Let's see, could I please have a soy latte extra hot?
Nailed it. You sound like you've been living in London for years.
Why try?
And don't be afraid to ask questions if you're not sure about something.
Right, like if I see a drink on the menu and I have no idea what it is, I can just ask.
Exactly. You could say, what's in a cortado?
Yeah.
And chatting with the barista helps you get your order right, but it also adds a little local flavor to the whole experience.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of vocab and modifiers. What about those phrases that really make you sound like you belong?
Oh, there are some classics that can make things go a lot smoother. Could I please have? It's always a polite and safe bet.
I tend to use it feels a bit more direct to me.
Yeah, and that's great too. It shows confidence.
Okay, cool.
So you've got your base, and then you add those modifiers on top.
Like building blocks.
Exactly. And the more you practice saying these phrases out loud, the easier it gets.
Okay, so we've got the vocab, the key phrases down. Now, how do we actually connect with the coffee shop culture, not just order and leave?
That's where the magic of small talk comes in.
I don't know, small talk can feel a little superficial sometimes.
Yeah, I get that, but small talk serves a different purpose depending on where you are in the world. In a lot of English-speaking cultures, it's all about showing politeness, easing into a conversation.
So it's more about the social interaction than the topic itself.
Right, and you'd be surprised how much you can learn about a culture just by paying attention to the way people do small talk.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like in some cultures, talking about the weather might seem boring, but in the UK, it's practically a national sport.
Okay, so if I'm in a London coffee shop and it's raining cats and dogs outside, I could say something like, wow, this weather is wild.
Exactly. And they might say, oh, tell me about it. Typical British weather, though. See, you've just started a whole conversation.
Right.
It's amazing how a little comment like that can lead to so much. And it's not just about talking to strangers. You can use small talk with the barista, too. Just a simple, how's your day going, can make things feel more personal.
I like that. It feels more human.
Exactly. It's all about building those little connections, even if they're brief.
Right. So we've got the vocabulary, the ordering phrases, and now the art of small talk. What else do we need to know to really master the coffee shop scene?
Well, there's this whole other layer of communication that's happening beyond the words we speak.
You mean like the unspoken rules, the etiquette?
Exactly. Those unspoken rules can be tough to figure out, especially in a new culture.
Yeah, for sure. Like personal space, I've definitely been in some crowded coffee shops where I felt like I was on top of the person next to me.
Oh yeah, personal space is a big one, and it's different everywhere. But in a lot of English-speaking countries, it's polite to give people some breathing room.
So if I'm at a table, I shouldn't spread out all my stuff like I own the place.
Good rule of thumb. And if you're waiting in line, try not to crowd the person in front of you.
Right. It's all about being considerate, even when it's busy.
Exactly. What about noise level? I've noticed some coffee shops are super loud and others are really quiet.
Yeah. How do you know what the vibe is? I don't want to be that person yelling on my phone in a silent cafe.
It's all about looking around, Pay attention to how loud people are talking and adjust your volume accordingly.
And if I need to take a call, I should probably step outside.
Right. Just be respectful of everyone around you. Now, speaking of sharing space, let's talk about working or studying in a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Coffee shops are like a second office for a lot of people.
Totally. But there are definitely some unspoken rules there.
Like, if you're going to be there for a while, you should probably buy more than just one coffee.
Right. You don't want to hog a table all day and only spend a couple of dollars.
Makes sense. What about laptops and stuff?
Yeah, be mindful of the volume on your devices. Nobody wants to hear your music or your keyboard clicking away.
And if it's crowded, try to keep your stuff contained.
Exactly. Sharing is caring. Actually, one of our sources mentions a study about how noise affects productivity.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, so basically they found that certain kinds of noise, like loud conversations or sudden sounds, can be super distracting.
Okay.
But consistent, quiet background noise, like the coffee machine or soft music, can actually help people focus.
That's probably why you get so much work done in coffee shops.
Right. It's that perfect balance.
Okay, so we've talked about the spoken and the unspoken rules of coffee shop interactions, from how to order to cultural nuances and even workspace etiquette. But I'm curious, how does this all go beyond just getting a cup of coffee? How does it connect to language learning and feeling more comfortable in a new culture?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's something we forget about a lot. We get so focused on learning vocab and grammar that we forget why we're doing it in the first place. Language is about connecting with people and experiencing the world in a different way.
You're right. I've had times where I've messed up words or pronounced things wrong, but the person I was talking to was so nice about it. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about the connection.
Exactly. Those are the moments that make language learning come alive. You realize it's about the human interaction, the shared moments, not just about getting the words right.
So how do we encourage our listeners to really embrace those moments, to get out of their comfort zone and really experience the culture?
I think it starts with a change in mindset. Instead of seeing language learning as something you have to do, see it as an adventure.
I love that.
A way to explore new places, connect with different people.
It's rating in your textbook for a plane ticket.
Exactly. And coffee shops are the perfect place to start these adventures.
Yeah.
They're like these little mini cultures where you can observe, interact, and practice your language skills in a safe space.
So don't just grab your coffee and go. Take a moment to really be there.
Right. Listen to the conversations happening around you. Notice how people are interacting.
Yeah, it's like a mini ethnography project.
Exactly. And if you feel up to it, don't be afraid to start a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
It could be the barista, someone at another table, even the person in line behind you.
You never know what you might learn.
And even if it's just a quick chat, it's still a chance to practice your skills and connect with someone from a different background.
It's amazing how these little interactions can be so meaningful.
Right. Like each conversation is a window into another world.
So we've talked about the spoken and unspoken rules of coffee shop interactions, the importance of small talk, and how these everyday encounters can help us understand language and culture better. What else can we give our listeners to help them navigate all this with confidence?
I think it's important to address the fear of making mistakes. A lot of people are afraid to speak up because they think they'll say the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, I've definitely been there. I totally chickened out of speaking because I was scared of messing up.
It happens. But remember, making mistakes is part of learning.
Like learning to ride a bike. You're going to fall a few times before you get it.
Exactly. Same goes for language. Embrace those awkward moments. Those times when you feel like you're fumbling over your words. It's all part of the journey.
And a lot of times people are more understanding than we think.
Totally. Most people appreciate when you try to speak their language. They're not going to focus on every little grammar mistake.
So instead of getting down on yourself for making mistakes, see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Exactly. Each mistake is a chance to get better and build your confidence.
And sometimes those mistakes lead to the best stories.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite language learning memories are those times when I totally messed up or misunderstood something. They're the stories that make you laugh and teach you something new about the culture.
So to everyone listening, embrace the mistakes, laugh at the awkward moments, and celebrate the small wins.
Because the journey of language learning is just as important as the destination. And hey, you might even discover a hidden talent for comedy along the way.
Speaking of discoveries, one of our sources talks about the psychological benefits of getting out of your comfort zone.
That sounds interesting. Tell me more.
So the article says that challenging yourself to do things that make you a little uncomfortable can actually make you more confident and resilient.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And when you apply that to language learning, it means that the more you push yourself to speak, to start conversations, to try new things, the more confident you become.
And that confidence can spread to other parts of your life, too.
It's a ripple effect.
Exactly.
It's amazing how something as simple as ordering a coffee can be so powerful.
Really is. Those little interactions can change the way we see ourselves and the way we connect with the world.
So next time you're in a coffee shop, remember you're not just getting a drink, you're starting an adventure.
Embrace the unknown, challenge yourself, and enjoy the experience. You might be surprised by what you find.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From basic vocabulary and cultural differences to the art of small talk and the power of making mistakes.
It's been a good one.
I'm feeling pretty energized now, ready to conquer any coffee shop in the world.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
And remember, we've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore, to learn, and to experience.
So to everyone listening, keep practicing, keep trying new things, and keep those coffee cups full.
Yes.
Because the world is out there waiting to be discovered, one conversation at a time.
Beautifully said.
And maybe with a delicious latte in hand.
Always. It's funny, because there's this whole other level of communication happening in coffee shops.
Oh, yeah.
It goes beyond just the words.
You mean like the unspoken rules, all that etiquette stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those unspoken rules can be a little tricky to navigate, especially in a new culture.
Well, one that comes to mind is personal space.
Yeah.
I've been in those packed coffee shops where you're practically sitting on a stranger's lap.
Oh, yeah. Personal space is a big one for sure. It's different everywhere. But in a lot of English-speaking countries, people like to have a bit of breathing room.
So if I'm at a table, I shouldn't be spreading out all my stuff like I own the place.
Exactly. And if you're waiting in line, don't be breathing down someone's neck. Just be mindful of the person in front of you.
Right. It's about being considerate of others.
Yeah.
Even when it's super busy.
Absolutely. What about noise level? Have you noticed how some coffee shops are really loud and others are like super quiet?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's tricky sometimes. You don't want to be that person talking really loudly on their phone when everyone else is whispering.
Right. It's all about reading the room, observe the vibe and adjust accordingly.
So if people are whispering, I should keep my voice down too.
Exactly. And if there's a lot of chatter, then you can relax a bit more.
And if I need to take a phone call, I should probably step outside or find a quieter spot.
Exactly. Just be mindful of the shared space and the people around you. Now, speaking of shared space, let's talk about working or studying in a coffee shop.
Oh, this is a big one. It seems like coffee shops have become like a second office for a lot of people these days.
They really have, but there are definitely some etiquette rules to keep in mind.
Like if you're planning to camp out there for a while, you should probably buy more than just a single coffee.
Yeah, it's kind of a courtesy,
Right.
You don't want to take up a table for hours and only spend a couple of dollars.
Right. What about using laptops and stuff?
Be mindful of the volume on your devices. No one wants to hear your music blasting or your keyboard clicking nonstop.
And if it's crowded, try to be space conscious. Don't spread out all your belongings and take up the whole table.
Exactly. It's all about being considerate and sharing the space. Actually, one of our sources mentions a study about the impact of noise on productivity.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Yeah, so apparently certain types of noise, like really loud conversations or sudden bursts of sound, can be super distracting.
Okay.
But consistent low-level background noise, like the sound of the coffee machine or soft music, can actually help people focus and be more creative.
That makes sense. I feel like I get some of my best work done in busy coffee shops.
Right, it's that perfect balance of energy and ambient noise.
So we've covered the spoken rules and the unspoken rules of coffee shop interactions, from ordering phrases to cultural nuances and even workspace etiquette. But I'm curious, how does this all go beyond just getting a coffee? How does it connect to the bigger picture of language learning and cultural immersion?
That's a great question. And it's something we often overlook. We get so caught up in memorizing vocabulary and grammar rules that we forget the real reason we're learning a language.
What do you mean?
It's about connecting with people and experiencing the world in a new way.
Yeah, I've definitely had those moments where I've stumbled over words or mispronounced things, but the person I was talking to was so patient and understanding. And in those moments, it wasn't about being perfect, it was about the connection.
Exactly. Those are the moments that make language learning come alive. It's not just about the words, it's about the human interaction, the shared laughter, the cultural exchange.
So how can we encourage our listeners to embrace those moments, to step out of their comfort zones and really dive into the cultural experience?
I think it starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing language learning as a chore or a test to pass, see it as an adventure.
I love that.
A way to explore new worlds, connect with different people, expand your horizons.
Like trading in your textbook for a passport.
Exactly. And coffee shops can be the perfect starting point for those adventures. They're like these microcosms of culture where you can observe, interact, and practice your language skills in a safe and welcoming environment.
So instead of just grabbing a coffee to go take a moment to really be there.
Right. Listen to the conversations happening around you. Notice those subtle cues of body language and social interaction.
Like turning your coffee break into a little research project.
Exactly. And if you feel comfortable, don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
It could be the barista, someone at another table, or even the person standing in line behind you.
You never know what interesting stories you might hear or what you might learn.
And even if it's just a quick chat, it's still a valuable opportunity to practice your language skills and connect with someone from a different culture.
It's amazing how these seemingly insignificant interactions can actually be so enriching.
It's like each conversation is a window into another world.
So we've talked about the spoken and unspoken rules of coffee shop interactions, the importance of small talk, and how these everyday encounters can deepen our understanding of language and culture.
Yeah.
What else can we offer our listeners to help them navigate this world with confidence?
You know, it's funny. We always talk about fluency, like it's this big goal, like reaching the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more about enjoying the climb itself.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's about those little moments of connection,
Yeah.
Those times when you finally get that pronunciation right, or when you have your first real conversation with someone.
It's those moments that make all the hard work worth it. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I was so focused on all the grammar rules and verb tenses.
Right. That I forgot to just enjoy speaking the language.
It's easy to get caught up in the technical stuff, especially when you're first starting out. But we got to remember that language is really all about communication and connecting with people.
I had this experience once in this tiny little cafe in Barcelona.
Oh, yeah?
I was trying to order a café con leche, and I totally butchered the pronunciation.
I bet the barista still knew what you meant, though.
Oh, they did. And they even gave me this little smile and said, "Mi bien." It was such a small thing, but it made me feel so good.
It's those little gestures that make all the difference. They remind us that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and we're all just trying our best.
It's like this universal language of kindness that goes beyond any grammar mistakes. It's that feeling of, hey, we're both putting in the effort, and that's what matters.
Exactly. And those moments often lead to the most genuine connections.
It makes me think about all the times I've been afraid to speak up in a new language. I've been so worried about sounding silly. But then I remember those encouraging smiles, those patient people, and it gives me the courage to try again.
It really is like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And that goes for confidence, too. Each time you push yourself to speak, to try something new, you're building that confidence muscle.
And those small wins, they add up over time.
They do.
And you start to feel more self-assured, not just in language learning, but in other areas of your life, too.
Absolutely. It's like this ripple effect. You realize you can handle new and unfamiliar situations. It's about embracing the unknown and trusting yourself to figure it out.
And what better place to practice those skills than in a coffee shop, right?
Seriously.
Surrounded by all that energy, all those conversations.
It's the perfect environment to observe, to experiment, to just enjoy the process of learning and growing.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into coffee shop confidence, let's leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
It's not about speaking perfectly. It's about enjoying the journey. It's about those small moments of connection, those awkward stumbles, those unexpected discoveries. It's about trying new things and being okay with being a beginner again.
Well said.
And who knows? You might just find that the best part of the whole journey is the coffee itself.
To stronger coffee and even stronger conversations.
Cheers to that. And to all our listeners out there, keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep those coffee cups full, because the world is waiting to be discovered one conversation at a time.
Couldn't have said it better myself.